Hello everyone, my name is Amelia with study number 292. Today I'm going to explain my topic with my partner, sociolinguistic in education. First, let us explain what is sociolinguistic is. Sociolinguistic is a study of the relationship between language and society. This field focuses on how language varies and changes depending on the social context. It thus also looks at how factors like class, gender, ethnicity, age, and setting may influence the way we use language, the way people use language. According to Holmes 2013, sociolinguistic is the study of the social functions of language and its role in social life. Means language isn't just a way to communicate, but also plays the much big roles in shaping our interactions and in society. It also can reflect our identity, our personality, our social class, like that. Okay, let me explain the next slide. Language in educational context. In education, language plays multiple roles. First, may become a vehicle, a tool for transmitting knowledge from the teacher to the students. Language may help us to share and understand information, ideas, and skill to the others. The example of this is a situation where a teacher may try to teach their student complicated theory, for example, like maths. Teacher may have a hard time to explain hard theory, maybe the concept of fractions using clear example, clear and simple language, like saying, if you got students, if you cut a cake into 4 equal parts and take one, then that is 1/4. This verbal explanation by using imaginary and help students to imagine something, picturing the cake in their minds may help students to grasp the abstract of the concept through something they understand, something they can picture in their mind, instead of just explain, if you have a fractions and then you took one, then you have 1/4. That sounds more easier to make the student to imagine and picture something. Second, language can act as the marker of social status in classroom. How students speak might reflect their social class and how they are perceived by the peers and teachers. For example, students who well spoken in Indonesian or in English may seen as more well educated or smart, while another student who use slangs, harsher language, and maybe accent and coarse word might label as less academic, even if they are actually equal in intelligence in academic. Third, the mother tongue may play a significant role in academic achievement. When the students are taught in their first language, they tend to understand better and perform well academically. And schools can promote standard. On the next, School often promotes standard language varieties. This can marginalize a student who use non-standard dialect, making them will feel left out or less competent in academic field. For example, a student that have a Scottish accent and they have a very thick Scottish accent, and in the classroom where the teacher required the student to speak standard English, the teacher that used to with standard English may not understand the Scottish accent, while the student who have a Scottish accent will have hard time to use to pronounce the words without using their accent, and this is may cause a conflict, misunderstanding, not a conflict, in the way of their communication, while the teacher may feel that the student not using standard language, the student not cannot use English properly, when in fact Scottish accent is also English. And this situation may affect the student performance in their academic too. Okay, the next slide. Language variation in schools. In schools, we see several types of language variation. As you know, there is regional dialect, academic register, code switching. I will explain about regional dialect first. Regional dialect are language varieties spoken in specific geographic areas. This dialect may differ in pronunciation, vocabulary, and even grammar, even though they might belong to the same overall language family. For an example, I am from Trenggalek and my friends from Kediri. We are both from East Java, but there's difference in our Javanese, even though we are very close geographically. Our place is very close geographically. Okay, in situation where we both can go home because there is suddenly a heavy rain fell and make us trapped in classroom, and then I say to my friend, "Dewi kecenggreng iki." She would respond like, "Hah? Opo kecenggreng?" Because there is different words for that in Kediri. Kecenggreng equal with kebetang. Okay. From this situation, we can see that students may get confused if they are unfamiliar with teachers or classmate regional dialect, especially when the dialect that have hard tone too. They may think that him or he is angry with me, or this can lead to misunderstanding or misleadings. Second, the academic register, a formal style. The formal language used in academic settings often differs from our everyday speech. Okay, for example, a student may say in their daily conversation that rabbits eat plants, but in science class, or maybe in presentation, or maybe in essay, they might write or say that rabbit is an herbivore. See the difference? Yes. Okay, third, code switching. Code switching is common, especially among bilingual students. They may switch between language or dialects depending on the situation. Like, for example, like speaking using Japanese or their regional dialects at home with their family, their close friends, their childhood friends, neighbor, and then switch to formal Indonesian or maybe English at school. Okay, next slide. Language and social identity of students. Language is very closely tied to a student identity. Language is a powerful marker of someone's identity. The way of students speak may reflect to their social background, their cultural heritage, and peer group memberships. This can reflect where they come from and how are their yes. In school, students use language to express who they are, where they come from, and then how they relate to others, how close is they are to the person they are speaking with. For example, students may use Japanese or their regional dialect to express their local identity when they speak with close peers. However, during the class, when the environment is from different regional background in Indonesia and they are expected to speak standard Indonesian, which is their national language, to express and represent their nationality. Or maybe an internal school students, they may speak Indonesian to their parents, to their close friends, to express where they come from, to express their nationality. But then they will switch to speak standard English to school to mix to what do you call it? To adapt and blend with the peers, with the environment. Also, students often use youth slang to bond with friends and make them feel like they are the part of a group. For example, like Gen Z and Gen Millennial have their own code, they have their own language, they have their own terms to express that they are the part of that group, they are the part of that generations. And this also can reflect like how are they close with the others when they use slang and informal language to speak to each other. You can conclude that they are as close. And in contrast, when someone speak informal to someone who is not close, this may lead to misunderstanding, that someone will feel mad. Okay, next slide. Language, power, and educational policy. When schools use only the national language or maybe lingua franca in the classroom, students who speak a different mother tongue may face learning barriers. Mm, the examples of this situation in rural Papua, there are so many young students who only speak local Papuan language at home and at the society environments at the neighborhood. And when they go to junior high school, when they enter the school where only Bahasa Indonesia is used, they may struggle to follow the lessons, and this may affecting their performance and confidence. Okay, but how this may affect their confidence? Let's move to the next part. Minority language. Minority language are often not used or taught in school, which this situation can marginalize certain cultural groups, such as the student from the rural Papua. The student from Papua, which may see that their language never used in school materials, never taught in school materials. These exclusions can make them feel that their language and by extension their culture is not valued by education system. This may affect their confidence and make them feel insecure about their own identity, their own language, their own dialect, their own cultural. Okay, next, the standard language. The concept of standard language ideology is dominant in many schools, especially in Indonesia. Formal Indonesian is seen as correct, while regional accents or dialect may feel as more inferior. In English, there is also the same phenomenon, like the standard English is valued as the proper English, while other dialect like Scottish might seen as less academic in the school. Okay, for example, in situation where students who often do say gue or lo instead of saya dan anda atau aku dan kamu might be seen as less disciplined, even though both are widely understood by society. And even these terms gue and lo originally from Betawi, the regional dialects. This situation might create pressure to student confidence in expressing themselves, in speaking with their regional dialects. In English too, students who speak Scottish Macam with thick accent might feel marginalized if the teacher keep required to using standard English in the classroom. Then next slide, multilingual and multicultural education. In diverse society, like in Indonesia, schools must respect linguistic and cultural diversity in the classroom. Multilingual and multicultural education aims to create an inclusive learning environment that values all student backgrounds. For example, in general, inclusive might be interpreted as embracing, and inclusive education is embracing all the students, including those with special needs, have equal access to quality of education. So the ones who have maybe disability or economic backgrounds, they need to be seen as equal, and they have definitely equal rights in education. Next, bilingual programs. Bilingual programs teach academic subjects of two languages, typically the student mother language, the student mother tongue language, and the national or global language, such as Indonesian lesson in the school and the English lesson in the school, Japanese or bahasa daerah pelajaran in school. This is to help students to maintain their native language while gaining proficiency in the another, in the global language or in the national language. Then third, culturally responsive teaching. What is this? Culturally responsive teaching involves the to recognizing students' cultural identities in classroom. Is this complicated? No. Well, in the classroom, teachers might connecting the curriculum, the materials, or maybe the lesson or the topic of the day with the student real life experiences and cultural knowledge. How is this work? Okay, imagine you are in tourism class and we talk about a tourism spot destination. The professor might ask you from maybe place that have lots of culture like Bali, or you may the professor might ask you to share your local traditions as Balinese and the food from Balinese, or the stories, the folklores, and something like that. This approach purpose to help students to feel seen and respected and make them feel motivated and improves the overall classroom engagement. Okay, next slide. The conclusion. Okay. So the conclusion is language in education is more than just a tools for communicate in the classroom. It also can shape identity, reflect social structures, and influence learning experiences. Sociolinguistics help us to understand how language varies based on the factors like region, class, culture in the schools, in the classroom environments. In schools, students navigate different language varieties, code switching, social expectations. Educational policies and practice in the school should support linguistic diversity through inclusive study and culturally responsive teaching to ensure that all the students feel valued and embraced and empowered in the classroom. Okay, that's all from me and my discussion with all from me. Thank you for your attention, and I feel deeply apologize to my mistakes and to oversleep before the classroom. Thank you.